It is important to examine the symbolic and religious rhetoric leveraged for strategic purposes during the 12-day conflict between Israel and the Islamic Republic of Iran in June 2025. The Islamic Republic is arguably the most repressive theocracy of the 21st century. Its pseudo-state apparatus is built on a Shia ideological foundation that envisions the elimination of Israel as a necessary step toward the emergence of the 12th Imam Mahdi. This is not a fringe position. It is central to the regime's worldview. It is why regime leaders insist on calling Israel the Zionist regime. Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of the Islamic Revolution, famously described Israel as the cancer of the Middle East. His successor, Ayatollah Khamenei, predicted that Israel would cease to exist within 25 years. In his words, Israel is a frontline outpost for American imperialism. However, the recent 12-day conflict in June 2025 reminded me of a famous quote by Karl Marx, that all that is solid melts into air. All that is holy is profaned, and man is at last compelled to face with sober senses his real conditions of life. So during this conflict, the Islamic regime in Iran was humiliated and perhaps brought to the brink of collapse, not just within Iran itself, but across its regional network of proxies. The roots of this shift can be traced back, in my opinion, to October 7th, 2023, when the massacre in Israel was perceived as an existential threat. That perception shaped the Israeli response, not only the targeted assassination of IRGC generals and strikes on nuclear facilities in Iran, but also the symbolic and strategic framing of those actions. The Israeli operation was named Rising Lion, a title drawn from the Hebrew Bible. The verse that this phrase comes from reads as, quote, "Behold, the people rise like a lioness," end of quote. This verse comes from the story of Balaam, a non-Israelite prophet hired by the king of Moab to curse Israel. But instead of cursing, Balaam blesses Israel under divine compulsion. The verse casts Israel as a powerful and unstoppable force, rising like a lion to confront its enemies. The biblical allusion framed the military action within a narrative of divine empowerment and historical continuity that resonated with both religious and nationalist sentiments. On the other hand, Israel strategically capitalized on the divide between the Iranian people and the Islamic regime. Since at least 2019, we have witnessed three major waves of mass protests in Iran aimed at toppling the regime. The most recent was the Women Life Freedom Movement in 2022. Israel began to publicly leverage this divide when it invited the exiled Crown Prince of Iran, Reza Pahlavi, for an official visit. He was welcomed as though he was the legitimate head of a state, sending a clear message with symbolic significance. From a symbolic perspective, the name Rising Lion resonated with many ordinary Iranians as well. Those who oppose the Islamic regime often look to lion and sun emblem, the historic national symbol of Iran, once featured on Iran's national flag, as a representation of Iran's ancient continuity and identity. So when Israelis used the phrase rising lion, it was interpreted by many inside Iran as a signal of national revival, not just for Israel, but for Iran too. The operation's name triggered a resurgence of century-old metaphors, including the powerful image of Iran as a phoenix, a nation that rises from the ashes of tyranny. In addition, Israeli discourse frequently invoked Psalm 83, which speaks of a coalition of nations conspiring against Israel. This reference positioned the conflict as part of an ongoing spiritual and existential struggle. Phrases such as divine mission and national calling were used to galvanize public support and portray the military campaign as not merely strategic but spiritually significant. In short, Israel's use of symbolic rhetoric during the June 2025 conflict reveals a powerful interplay between faith, national identity, and military strategy that resonates for both Israelis and Iranians and creates an unwritten alliance to defeat the common enemy in the Islamic regime in Iran. This, in my opinion, marks a striking moment in the evolving narrative of the region.